Samuel 3:37 through 39. For all the people and all Israel understood that day that it was not of the king to slay Abner, son of Ner. So they recognized that, Abner died, but David was at the point where him and Abner had a peace. So all the people understand by David mourning over this and being upset about this, that this wasn't his plan. They could see the genuineness about how David reacted. If people look at us enough, they can tell whether we're genuine or not. If they look and hard enough and long enough. Some of the people at first probably thought, okay, he's sad now, but eventually he's going to be happy because Abner, who stood up to him, is gone. But over that, they kept looking, I think, over this, because I don't think the mourning was just day. They noticed, okay, he's still doing this. It's genuine. Which shows the heart of David towards the people. And I feel God used this, even though David made peace with Abner, God would still use Abner by him dying and David being genuinely sad about his death to ally the other people who stood against David with him. Especially how he reacts to him being killed, which isn't for another chapter or so. But he does eventually handle Joab. So, verse 38. And the king said unto his servants, Know ye not that there is a prince and a great man fallen this day in Israel? So he's referring to Abner as a great man. Regardless of what Abner stood for, he's a great military leader. And David knew this, and that's why David wanted him to be an ally rather than... And it was more important for David to make peace, because he knew that if Abner could be on his side, which God was allowing, that Abner could be a great ally to Israel as a whole. But many people who would have been in the same place as David probably wouldn't have allowed Abner to have that chance to make peace. Many of the kings who came after David probably wouldn't have done the same thing. For him to actually mourn still shows a great integrity of who he was. Because many would have probably, even if they would have allowed the ally, they would have been like, well, that ally's up. It's over. It's time to move on. They really didn't have... They would have used Abner as an ally, but they wouldn't have had any sorrow connections with his death. They would have been like, well, we'll have to figure out plan to make peace another way. It would have been straightly diplomatic for any other king, I believe. Well, maybe not all of them, but most of them. It would have been a straight diplomatic plan rather than David doing what was right because it was right. And he had a heart to do what was right. And we as Christians, sometimes it may not seem like a move we should make, but God's tugging on our heart to lead us in that direction. And He's going to work it out for the greater good. Which is why these people in verse 37 are realizing and seeing this in David, because God's still working this whole event of what happened out for the greater good. Verse 39. And I am this day weak, though anointed king, and these men, the sons of Zerah, to be too hard for me. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness. So he's saying that, pretty much saying that Joab did what was wicked. He's at this point saying that, and he's saying that the Lord's going to have him answer for it. which most likely means that David's smart enough to stay out of this whole mix and let God just handle it. And sometimes the smartest thing for us to do is just let God handle things. Yeah, David was king, but David knew that Joab was going to have what happened to him as a result of him doing what was wicked. Just as we as Christians, while we should pray for those who are against us and who are against God to turn to Him, we also know that if they don't, we're justified in Christ. And so everything that they have put us through is going to be worth it when we see Him in glory. Everything we have to go through is going to be worth it. And David had this same attitude. Yeah, he was weak, he was mourning, which meant he wouldn't have taken food. But God put him in a place of king. God was allowing him now, in the next chapter it happens, he becomes king of not just Judah, but all of Israel, as he was intended to be. It took a little longer than what he may have thought or what other people expected, but God's plan came through. You know, sometimes we get impatient of what God's plan for us is, and instead of waiting and seeking Him, we get upset and angry, and then we react much like Joab did by taking it into our own hands. But at this point, David's laying it aside for the Lord. Yeah, he's upset that the whole event happened, but he knows God has a greater good and he's trusting Him. And that's how we have to walk through faith and trust God. This isn't saying that God won't have us move in certain directions, but it's saying we wait on Him for Him to move us in them directions.